And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about building your own personalized CEO schedule for whatever it is that you want to achieve. Hopefully you already have one. If you don't, pay close attention to this video or contact me at Men of High Value on Instagram so I can help you to build one. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we need to understand what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish. Monetary-wise, it's easy to think about it because I always talk about 100K US dollars. Now, that's a good number. It's a good goal. However, there's going to be hyperinflation. So if there is a hyperinflation, then you need to measure yourself in terms of gold instead. Okay, and gold right now is 50 ounces, but that will change radically once there's a hyperinflation. Okay, so maybe at one point having gold is just, you only need 20 or you only need 10 ounces of gold in order for you to hit that beautiful 100K number. Do you understand what I mean? So it's going to be a bit confusing, but for now, you know, it's gold, silver, Bitcoin. But what I suggest is having some sort of arbitrary number in the beginning just so that you have something that you can drive towards, okay? And the monetary number is great. But you just need to find out what you want to do, what kind of skills you want to develop, and what kind of value you want to bring to the marketplace. You have to bring something of value, and some of you guys haven't figured out what it is that you want to achieve yet. And that's a problem. And I'll explain this first because this is important in terms of understanding how to privatize or how to personalize your CEO schedule. In order for you to become elite, world-class in anything, you have to have 10,000 hours of experience, of drive, of rejection, of failure, of successes in that specific thing, in that specific niche. Right? So if I want to become a professional basketball player, if I put in 10,000 hours and I have the talent for it and I have the body for it, okay, that's important, especially with basketball. If there's anything else, like if it's biking or tennis or anything else, it might be a bit different because those NBA guys are, yeah, they're monsters, okay? They're huge. Anyway, but do you understand what I mean? It's going to take you 10,000 hours. How long does it take for you to use 10,000 hours over a long period of time in order to get to that elite level? Okay? How long of a time does it take? Well, it's very simple, actually. It's 40 hours a week times 50 weeks per year. That's 2,000 hours. So you do that consistently, so that's the key, right? Because if you care about what you feel and what your emotions are telling you, oh, I don't feel like exercising today. I don't feel like putting in the effort today. I don't feel like going to work today. I don't feel. Then you're not going to get those 2,000 hours. Does that make sense? You have to put in the 40 hours and literally put in the 40 hours, and then you times that with 50 weeks, and you do that the entire freaking year, right? And you don't take, unnecessary breaks. 2 weeks a year. That's beautiful. That's 2,000 hours. So you times that with 5 years, you got 10,000 hours. That's the simplest, most beautiful way to explain success. And it's described in the book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Outliers, okay? Because you become an outlier once you invest 10,000 hours in doing the thing that you want to do and sticking to it for the long term. This is what most people don't do that. Most people start something and quit. And then they start something and then they quit again. And then they start something and they quit. Why? Because it got hard. It was difficult. Oh, it was not my cup of tea. That's ridiculous. Because if you keep doing that, you're starting a new curve of 10,000 hours every single time you quit and start again. Quit and start again. Quit and start again. You know that you can actually do that for the rest of your life and become a miserable failure? That's actually possible. And there's a lot of people who do that. You don't want to be one of those. You want to choose specifically what you want to do and then be decisive about it, that I'm not going to quit until I've reached my goal, until I've mastered this subject, until I've become elite at my level and I can help other people in this specific thing. Right? Then you can get to 10,000 hours. That's beautiful. If we understand this, now we can understand how to set up our CEO schedule. Because now it's all about figuring out how can I put in as much hours as possible in my niche to achieve what it is that I want to achieve. And if you look at a week schedule, right, you got 168 hours. It's 24/7, right? But you can't work 24/7 because if you do, you're going to get burnt out very quickly, right? It's impossible for you to do 168 hours. You might die, actually. That's possible if you don't sleep. So we can't use the full 168 hours. We got to cut it down. You are awake 16 hours per day if you sleep 8 hours, and you need to sleep 8 hours. Oh, I can live on 4 hours of sleep. I can live on 6 hours of sleep. Yeah. Very often, those people who say that, they're bluffing. They take naps during the day. They don't listen to that crap because it's not going to work in the long run. You need energy. And for you to have energy, you need 3 things. And it's crucial. You need your sleep. It's number 1. There's a reason why, the universe put that as a requirement for you to succeed is that you need your sleep. Your brain goes through a lot during those 16 hours a day when you're awake, and it needs to recuperate, recalibrate, and allow your brain to detox from all the crap that you went through that day and heal. That's what it does during the night. It needs its REM sleep, and that's why it's necessary. Get those 8 hours in. That's what I recommend. Then you can be consistent long term. And if you're not consistent with your sleep schedule, you're not going to be consistent because you're going to get sick. You're going to have issues. You're going to have this, that, and the other. Oh, suddenly I can't do what I needed to do anyway. Do you understand what I mean? You get your sleep? Man, it's amazing. Understand that athletes, the best top athletes, the ones that don't get injured, they take care of their sleep. Just study it out, man. It's right there. It's online. Study athletes and sleep. And then you'll understand how important sleep is to you. Don't jump. Don't skip that one. 8 hours. And then the other one is exercise. I'm a believer in exercise, okay? But I don't believe in the big, let's look good, blah, 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 right now, if you don't have cash. Once you do have cash, then I believe in having a personal trainer or multiple personal trainers to get you to that level where you are absolutely amazing from a feature standpoint. Where you're like, man, this guy, he is like, whoa, that guy's masculine, right? He's not masculine because of his body size and because of the way he looks, okay? It's feminine if you believe that makes you masculine. Masculinity, the definition of that is control of your thoughts, control of your behaviors, control of your emotions. That's masculinity, not your stature. Okay? If we understand that you're most effective in building up your stature once you can have a personal trainer and you can have a chef, man, it becomes so easy to become muscular and massive. Muscular. That's a good word. So do you get it? Do you understand this aspect? I'm trying to cut down the amount of time it takes for you to become elite, world class at what you do. Stop wasting time building muscle. It's unless you're going to be a bodybuilder, but I hope you don't, because those guys are feminine as F. Okay, so let's understand this. Next, yes, okay, so you got exercise. I was explaining about don't spend 2 hours on that. Don't spend even 1 hour on that. A half hour is enough per day. That's going to help you to faster get to your goal. You need the exercise, but you need it for the energy, not for the way you look necessarily right now. Eventually, we're going to focus on that, but for now, forget about it. Half an hour is enough of interval exercise, whether it's running, whether it's, maybe you could do some weightlifting, I don't care, or jump roping. Man, absolutely amazing. Figure out which sport or what you enjoy doing so that you'll be consistent. If you do something you don't enjoy, you're not going to be consistent, right? And consistency is key so that you can keep at it and do it every other day so that you can, exchange between muscle groups, etc. You've been studying this out for years. You know what to do when it comes to exercise. The last one is food. Food one is a bit tricky because you got to kind of figure out how intense you're going to be about your food. Me personally, to be masculine about it, I would focus, if you live at home or close to home where you can, get free food from your parents, okay, great. However, at some point you gotta move out, man, and then you gotta take care of your own food, which means you gotta learn how to cook, most probably, or else you're gonna waste a lot of money spending it on, restaurants and takeaway and all that stuff that's probably gonna be bad for you. What I recommend in order for you to have high levels of energy at all times is to at least, for now, eliminate completely any form of stimulants that you have. Alcohol, cigarettes, weed, blah, 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 okay? For some guys, I say coffee because, man, you might not know this, but you get a spike of energy, and then the spike, the energy decreases, so you need coffee more, and then you're gonna be addicted to coffee. It's unnecessary. And then you've got sugar. That's one of the things that I highly recommend that you take out, at least the sugar bombs. Don't have them in your life at all. Okay? Yeah, you're taking away pleasure, but bro, you're gonna lose weight also doing this system. Why? Because you want consistent energy. You put in sugar in your system, again, you're going to crash and burn throughout the same day. Why would you want that? You need consistent energy so that you can work 12 hours a day, man. That's what you need. So we need to figure out what works in order for us to be able to work 12 hours a day. Does that make sense? So you got those three: sleep, food, and exercise. And one last note on the food thing. Man, I remember when I was single, okay? This is when my wife was in America with the kids, and I was in Norway for 5 months by myself, and I was cooking for myself every single day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. And man, it was one of the most horrific experiences of my life. Like, in the cooking thing. Being in Norway by myself and focusing on my business, that was awesome. But it's just having to take the break away from doing what I was doing and then going up to make food. Man, it's like I hate that I have to take out 45 minutes to an hour out of my work schedule in order for me to make that food. Okay, so if you want to be effective, eventually I figured out that, okay, the most effective thing would be to maybe cook twice a week instead, and then make freezing batches. Okay, that's the most effective thing you can do. And then eat pretty much the same thing. Maybe you can make 2 different casseroles or 3 different casseroles 1 or 2 days a week, right? So that you can have different kinds of food. Just understand that this is part of developing a CEO schedule. If you're single. And you are, most probably, hopefully. Okay? So you think that having a woman in your life would be easier? No, because you get connected to her reproductive cycle and you'll be inconsistent and you won't work as hard. She'll always want to spend time with you, so you end up not getting those, 80 hours a week that I recommend. So I recommend you learn how to cook and cook 2 batches, or get someone to cook for you and pay them for it. But you want consistency, so they need to be consistent. And if you have that, then you just take out the night before, or you take out the night before from the freezer, keep it in the fridge or out there, and then that's what you eat throughout the day. You put it in the microwave, it gets warm after 5 minutes, whatever it is, and then you eat. Man, you save a lot of time doing that from a practical standpoint. Now we know this. Okay, so let's look at this. Alright, when should you wake up? This is different for people, especially if you've been waking up at 12, 10, or whatever it is that some guys wake up at. That's ridiculous. And that is because you're not going to sleep on time. So really, when I talk about waking up in the morning, I talk about you should be absolute minimum at 7. Like 7 o'clock, man, you can't wake up past 7, man. You can't call yourself a CEO if you wake up past 7. I don't care who you are. Beyond 7 is ridiculous. Which means that you have to get your 8 hours of sleep, which means that you have to go to bed at 11, right? Success starts the day before success. Which means that in order for you to be able to wake up at 7, you have to be disciplined about going to bed at 11. Preferably, I'd want you to wake up at 6:30. Okay? If you can do 5:30, oh my gosh. But if you start immediately at 5:30 and you've been waking up at 12, you're not going to be able to do 5:30. Okay? So start with 7. Do you understand what I mean? Eventually, once you prove in yourself after 3 weeks, every single day, every single day, every single day, every single day, that you wake up at 7 o'clock, okay, let's push the boundaries to 6:30. And then, show consistently. Again, I can do this. Doom, 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 doom. Do you understand now how masculinity is all about controlling your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior? It's about saying that you're going to do something and then doing it. Because if you're not doing what you said you're going to do, then it's a waste of breath. It's a waste of everyone's time when you promise and don't fulfill that promise. Right? Like Patrick Bet-David explains on Valuetainment, he was talking about confidence. What's the difference between someone who's confident, someone who's cocky? Someone who's confident is actually follows through with the thing that he said he was going to do. That's confidence. I'm able to do. Confidence, power. They go hand in hand. Masculinity. You understand? So, I recommend, let's say 6:30 for now, and you go to bed at 10:30. How would that schedule look like on a day-to-day basis? Well, first of all, you can decide if you want to work 6 days a week or 7 days a week. I don't necessarily think that you're more ambitious because you want to work 7 days a week. Some of you guys believe in keeping the Sabbath day holy, and I did for a very, very long time. And there is some truth to it, and personally, I know it's a huge commandment, blah, blah, blah. But if you start living it, and I did for years trying to become successful, what my experience told me is that very often that Sunday is like it messes up your routines. And it messes up consistency a lot. Because you end up being lazy that day. Like, was that really what universe had in store for us that day? For us to be lazy? Just walk around doing nothing? For me, that's not relaxation. Okay? That's not me being focused on God or focused on... do you understand what I mean? There is some aspect to it in terms of, yes, you do need to relax. You can't be on 7 days a week all of the time for the entire year, right? It's good for you to take some time off, to be with family, to be with friends, to do your preparation for the intense work week that's ahead. Okay, so I would use Sunday to prepare food, right? Just as I explained before. Or to use, do you understand what I mean? You want to use that day to get ready, to get emotionally, mentally ready for the week. You don't want to be emotionally and mentally ready throughout the week. Right? That's the people who plan for an hour or two per day or write in their journal for an hour. Like, bro, keep that for Sundays. Okay? You don't have time for that crap on a daily basis. Unless it's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes there in the morning time or whatever. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, so let's talk about the hours. Okay, so if you do 6 days a week and you keep that one day off, then I recommend you do 12 hours, or maybe you can even do 13 hours of work that day. Because then you get to, 78 hours, right? Awesome. Amazing. You can do 13 hours a day. You're right on track. And if you do 7 days a week, then you can do a bit less, right? Then it's about 10 or 11 hours a day, and then you relax the rest. Beautiful. Then your Sabbath day is basically your morning routine and your evening routine because you got an extra hour or two, per day because you don't keep the Sabbath day holy. It's just that you need some time to relax. You need some time with your family and friends, blah, 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 in order for you to disconnect from what you're trying to achieve. Because very often if you're so focused on trying to get something, very often it runs away from you. So you need some time when you don't need it. And that's when you get the inspiration to actually get what you want, if that makes sense. So, 6:30, what should you do, okay? Like, you might find your morning routine. Some guys, cold shower. Some guys do exercise immediately, which is great. That's what I would do. And then you exercise and you eat, and then you're good to go, right? Like, find out what your morning routine is so that you feel that you're at your ultimate performance, and then you get started. You get away from your house if you're not self-employed, and probably you're not at this point in time, and you go out there. And then when you come home at night, it's probably going to be around 8:30, 9 o'clock. You wind off, you take your relaxation time, and then you fall asleep. Discipline. Discipline. Why is it crucial to set up your CEO schedule like this? Because you don't want to work a regular job for the rest of your freaking life. That's why we're doing this for, guys. So in the beginning, working this many hours, 80 hours a week. Oh my gosh, man, you're working so much, bro. You should relax. You should take a chill pill, man. Bro, if you keep doing this, you're going to burn out at both ends, blah, 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 blah. Okay, don't listen to suckers. Don't listen to those that are not successful. Listen to people who actually have what you want, and you'll notice that they actually put in a lot of effort. Okay, and there are some guys who are basically lying to the people who are saying that they're doing 4-hour work weeks. No. Don't listen to that. That's crap. Listen to 80-hour work weeks and make that one work for you. Why? Because of 10,000 hours. Because of the outlier. Right? The outliers. Malcolm Gladwell. Remember what I explained in the beginning of the video? You want to get to 10,000 hours as fast as possible. Which means that you don't want to just do 40 hours a week. Because that will take you 5 years. If you do 80 hours a week, you strip it down to 2.5 years. Yes, that's what we're talking about. You set it up for 80 hours a week. You're detoxing yourself from laziness. You don't want to be lazy. I can tell you one thing about CEOs and super successful people, they're not lazy. Okay, Robert Kiyosaki sometimes said that, capitalists are lazy and those that are most successful are lazy. And there's some truth aspect to it because they learn how to replace themselves with better people than themselves because they don't want to work all the time, right? Or they have more important things to do somewhere else, so they need someone to replace them. Okay, there's some truth to it, but at the same time, really, are successful people lazy? No. Did Michael Jordan, did all those guys get to where they did because they were lazy? No, I don't think so, right? And you know that true. It's just, did they work? That's the definition of truth. If you become a man of truth, you will become wealthy. Naturally, automatically, because you're a man of truth. And a man of truth works, because the definition of truth is that which works. Do you understand? If you don't work, you're not going to become successful. If you don't learn that aspect. Work ethic, man. Work ethic. Work ethic. Worth it. Bro, awesome. Okay, so what else was I going to tell you guys? Let's see. You got CEO schedule. We're going to cut it down to 2.5 years. Okay, jobs. Jobs. Why do I tell guys that you should have a job? You should have 2 jobs. Preferably maybe even 3 jobs if those jobs are kind of not aligned or they don't give you enough shifts or whatever it is, so that you work 70, 80 hours on your job. Okay? 70 hours is fine if you have 3 jobs. Okay, why do I say this? Because detoxing your laziness. That's what we're doing. We're learning how to be disciplined in our free time on top of the jobs. I've said this again and again. For those of you who are on my channel, there's tons of guys who are not subscribed and who have never seen this video before. So for them, I'm explaining to you that you want those 3 jobs in the beginning as fast as possible to get to a certain amount of cash. Okay, so make sure you keep your expenses down. To build your cash reserves so that you can build your business eventually full time, all the time, and be able to never have to quit or use the excuse that I didn't have cash to continue my business. Okay, and for you to learn how to work 12 to 13 hours on your business and not on someone else's business. But in order for you to learn that, you won't be able to do that in the beginning when you're feminine, when you're not able to control your thoughts, emotions, and behavior immediately right now. Some guys might have, oh man, I've got an amazing business idea and I got this, that, and the other that I want to accomplish. Yeah, first, I recommend getting 2 to 3 jobs and then working for someone else and then doing the thing that you're passionate about on the side. Because then you'll actually get it done. If you want something done, give it to someone who doesn't have the time to do it. Because, man, they're going to be so effective, right? And they're going to have cash reserves. Good. Good for you. And they'll be able to afford a coach that will help them and steer them in the right direction as well. That's important. So if you do that, how do I look at it? Well, once you're able to replace your income of the one last job, then you quit that third job that you hate. Okay, because you've replaced the income of it from your business. Great, now you have more time for your business. Beautiful. Keep the 12 to 13 hour work schedule. And then once you succeed more in your business, because it goes faster now, right? Because you're getting more time in and you're getting more money in for your business, hopefully, then you can quit your second job. That might take a year. That's okay. That's fine. Because once you quit, once you've learned how to work 12 to 13 hours in a business that produces income for you, and you've quit finally from your last final job after 18 months or 2 years or 2.5 years, bro, you'll never, ever, ever, ever have a job in your life ever again. Because you've learned the principles of success. You've learned how to discipline yourself and to actually do what you said you're going to do even though you didn't feel like it. Do you think you feel like working on your business that 1 hour a day when you've worked already in a job for someone else for 12 to 13 hours? You won't feel like building your business that one last hour at all. But once you learn to force yourself to do the thing that you don't want to do because no matter how you feel, that's when you become masculine. It's masculinity we're driving towards because we're moving towards consistency. And consistency, why? Because then you can put in more hours instead of being inconsistent in putting in the hours. And once you put in the hours, then you naturally gravitate towards getting those 10,000 hours done as soon as freaking possible. So let's divide this up now into 3 categories. You've got the unemployed, you've got the employed, and you've got the student. Let's handle this first. Okay, the unemployed. Let's first start with the student. This might be interesting. Okay, if you're a student, you're 12 years old, how can you get as fast as possible to your 10,000 hours? Because you got 7 hours at school. Oh my gosh. How much time do you have? Okay, you might have from 3 o'clock until 8 o'clock. Okay, so that's 5 hours a day. And you can do that, okay, let's say you could do six days a week. You can do 5 hours a day of work. Or something like that. That's 30 hours, or maybe you manage to actually do 40 hours of work. Beautiful. It's going to take you 5 years to become a master of what you're doing, right? But at least you're doing it, hopefully, maybe, if you're ambitious, right? But what I would recommend is to figure out a way, again, watch my quit school video, where I explain to you how you can tell your parents that it might be profitable for everyone involved, very profitable, if you're allowed to be homeschooled instead. Because, man, your schedule will look completely different. Okay, but if you are a student and you absolutely have to finish your studies you understand what I mean? Like, if you're in school, high school and all that stuff, you still have to finish your schooling, but you'll finish it in terms of studying for 1 hour or 2 hours a day, absolute maximum. That's the only thing you need. If you actually do those 2 hours, you'll be at the top of your class no matter who you are. Because 7 hours or 8 hours at school is a waste of flipping time. You can cut that down by 75%, man, if you actually apply the principles that I teach on this channel. So just figure out a way of convincing your parents so that you can learn discipline, because there's not much discipline going on at school anyway, right? You become part of your environment, and none of the people at school are disciplined. So you want to be in an environment where people are disciplined and actually putting in the effort, putting in the hours, putting in the discipline, right? Find a homeschooling group. If you don't have one, create one of guys that are massively disciplined in building businesses, even though you're 12 or 13 or 14. You want that money, man? You want to be rich? You want to be rich when you're 18 years old? Right? You can. There's nothing stopping you from investing 10,000 hours before you're 18 years old. Is there? Right? How does Magnus Carlsen, who's a Norwegian, become a chess master at the age of whatever it was, 18 years old? Because he put in the flippin' 10,000 hours. That's why. Okay? You got to put in those hours. Okay, that was a student. Did you hear what I said? Okay, so you got 40 hours, but if you manage to quit school and do homeschooling instead, you can faster get to those 80 hours a week. If you're 12 years old, you can put in 80 hours a week building a business, studying the things that will help you build a business, or simply working in general, okay? Freelancing, because you're not allowed to get a job. It's ridiculous. Pfft, the government is ridiculous, not allowing 12-year-old boys to work. I understand the girl thing because, you know, if you understand my 3 Girls in Love channel, you don't want to burden women too quickly. But boys, man, once they got their sperm production, are you kidding me? They've got so much drive. They can, if they understand that they have a goal and they want to get to it, it's ridiculous. Give the kids after age of 12, you know, the opportunity to work. And work 80 hours a week. That's my recommendation. And then, you got the unemployed. That's the last thing that I'm going to explain. How do you set up your personal schedule? Like, how can you be a CEO if you're unemployed? It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to build you a schedule even though you're unemployed. Listen carefully. You wake up at 6:30. Okay? Do your morning routine, whatever it takes, whatever it is. Takes you half an hour to get ready, 1 hour. Great. Okay, let's start 7:30. You start working. How do you start working as an unemployed person? Let's get going. Okay, I'm going to give you until 8 o'clock. So it helps me to understand the hours. You're going to put in 12 hours, which means it's going to be from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Okay? Yes, you're going to take breaks in between. You're going to take breaks maybe every 3 hours in order for you to breathe. To take 15 minutes to eat. Okay? Brief. Breaks. You do that every 3 hours. That's 4 breaks, right? Or 3 hours. 3, 4, yeah. So it will be 3 or 4 breaks throughout the day. All right? That you eat. That you take a break. That you watch a YouTube video or something. That's short. Okay? My video, for example. Short. Okay. And then you put in the work. Maybe in the morning, there's no places that are open. Okay, dang. All right. And you have already your applications. I'm going to assume that you have your applications written out already. You got a beautiful picture on it. Your application is absolutely amazing. If you don't get a job within 500 applications, something wrong with your application. Okay? Or something wrong with how you deliver it to the manager. Because, bro, it's so easy. Like, one of my clients, he told me the other day, this week, that like he gave out over 100, 150 applications, I believe. And it was the first job, first place that he delivered an application to that he got the job. What? Right? That's ridiculous. But so you understand that it's your attitude and it's how your application looks like if you're not getting a job after applying 500 different places. Then we got to figure that out. We got to work some, contact me again on Instagram, @menofhighvalue, so that you can figure out how to get employed. Okay? Again, 8 o'clock, 8 to 11, you massively work towards getting your job. What I recommend is either if there's nothing open around where you live or around your vicinity, okay, then you apply for 1 hour or 2 hours online, absolute maximum. Okay, maybe 3 hours, that's fine. And then your first break, and then you go out and massively face-to-face daily manager applications. Trust me, within a CEO schedule, if you actually follow what I've taught throughout this video, you will be able to give out 100 applications per day. It's impossible for you not to. Okay, let's cut it down to 50 if you're not ambitious. Okay, 50, what I've noticed, my guys have only been able to give out 20, 25, and then they get tired. And this is basically 2 or 3 hours. It's because they didn't eat. It's because they don't, do you understand what I mean? You have to take that time in order to recoup to get started again. But you can do 12 hours, you just got to figure out how. Right? You give out 50 applications. How long does it take? If you give out 10 applications per hour, it takes you 6 minutes per application, which means that you run from place to place, right? And then, do you have the manager here? Oh, he's unavailable? No problem. I'll come back. Here's my application, right? And you write down, I need to go back and meet this daily manager or whatever, right? And then you, boom, boom, boom. 50 applications divided by 10 per hour is 5 hours. You think that in 12 hours, if you're unemployed, you can apply for 50. Yes, you can. You can. Okay? I know you believe that you can't. Oh, 50 is too high of a number. But once you rationally look through the numbers, it's just the numbers game. How many are you applying to? Can you do 100? Yes, you can. That's 10 per hour per 10 hours. And you think like this. And you do that 6 days a week. Trust me, you'll have a job really, really, really quickly. Okay? And those times when everything is closed and you're hyper motivated, hyper ambitious, great. You know? Then you apply online because there's nowhere else that's open. There's always someone that's open though. Give them an application. But the best time is during the daytime to give to managers, because you don't want to give it to the people who you will be competing with for a job, you know, that are working in the evenings and that don't really want you to get a job, because then they might get fired because the boss doesn't like them. Do you understand what I mean? So anyway, if you are employed, this is how it's going to look like instead. Maybe you start a job that starts at 7. Great. It takes you 8 hours, finish at 3, and then you take 1 hour break and you find a job that starts at 4 and ends at 8. Or 9, right? Then you've worked 8 plus 5 hours, or plus 4 hours, 12 to 13 hours a day. Simple. Simple math, man. It's logistics. Figure out a way to set up your life so that you can do 70 to 80 hour work weeks. If you're doing 70, then you're doing your business on the side. If you're doing 80 and you're doing your business on your side, man, you are amazing. Keep going. Because within 2.5 years, if the dollar would remain the same and you make 10... actually, that's the last thing I'm going to explain here. Okay, you make $10 an hour. Let's hope you do. Okay, how long does it take for you to get to 100K US dollars? It's going to take you 10,000 hours, right? To get to 100K. Isn't that ridiculous? 10 hours or $10 an hour times 10,000 hours. After taxes, let's hope, you get to 100K. And that means that you don't spend any money, anytime, anywhere, 5 years. Oh my gosh. This is if you have a job and you keep a job forever. Yes, you might invest that money, but when you invest money, you might lose that money. In my opinion, unless you invest in Bitcoin, silver, or gold, right? Because then, in my opinion, those are hedges of inflation, so they'll probably be okay. But do you understand what I mean? You'll need to invest in other stuff in order for things to progress faster towards 100K. But in my opinion, man, if you're spending more than 2.5 years in a job, it's ridiculous. You need your business to surpass your jobs within 18 months to 2.5 years, absolute maximum, so you can quit all of them, because you're wasting precious time. Money you can always get back. Time you can never, ever get back. So use it wisely. And the way to use it wisely, again, don't exchange time for money in the long run. In the short run, do it. To detox from laziness and to get over yourself and to have a cash reserve and to learn how to be disciplined in your free time. After you've done that and you've replaced all of your income, maybe even doubled your income compared to what you were making in your jobs, you're focused on your business 12 to 13 hours a day, you're now, instead of focusing on hourly salary, an hour here, I get a $10 here. Instead of that, you'll be focused on providing value for the masses. And I'm going to give you these 2 last tips. If you want to become rich in a financial collapse proof way, you got to serve either of these. You either got to serve the masses, meaning poor people. Okay? Don't think about the middle class, because they're going to be stripped away. There's not going to be a middle class in a few years' time. You're going to help the masses with basically micro payments from poor people, or you're going to help the rich. I'm helping you to build a business here, right? Figure out which one you want. You want to serve the masses, meaning find a way to help 100,000 people, 1 million people to get your product so that they can give you a micropayment? Or do you want to serve the rich? Because you can create a business that serves the rich, because the rich are going to have a lot of money, and they're always going to have a lot of money. There's always going to be people who are ready to buy your product if it's a good one. Then you got to just focus on that. Anyway, Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got tons of value out of it because, man, this is actually a really good video. But anyway, I'm going to handle the questions now if there are any, and then we'll close out. Let's see. He covered sleep, exercise, food. Did I miss anything? These things are key. I recommend focusing on these 3 things before you even think of business. I don't think Dan Pena is even doing 80 hours a week. He's old. Don't care about Dan Pena, man. But but he's cool though. I mean, he succeeded very, very well. And you could be more successful than he is because he's an a-hole very often, right? At least to people. You don't have to be mean to people in order for you to become successful. You don't. And so anyway, hope you enjoyed this. What is your job? Good question. My job is my business. I actually work together with one of my clients. I've helped him to get to 20K in revenues per month, 30K per revenues we hit once, and I'm helping him to sell, and we're making good money together there. On top of that, then I got my YouTube channel, my coaching. I've got several clients there, and on top of that, I basically am with my family all the time. And the reason why I'm with them all of the time compared to doing the 13-hour schedule is because my wife can't do it. And we don't believe in schooling. We don't believe in babysitters. We don't believe in kindergarten. We don't believe in any of that crap. And our kids are too young to be on their own. So we have to be with them. And my wife can't do it on her own because it's monogamy. Right? So 3 Girls in Love for the future. For those of you guys who want that in the future, don't have kids without 3 Girls in Love, man. Monogamy sucks. And women were not designed to take care of kids by themselves, right? So I'm doing my part in helping take care of the kids. I don't get to work as much as I wish that I could, but that's my fatal mistake. I suck. That was my fault. Okay? You don't have to make the same mistake of being romantically involved with any girl or getting any girl pregnant. Because if you're going to do the responsible thing and actually take care of the kid that you've created, you're messing up 20 years of your life. And that's a long time. Right? Especially when you can become rich within the next 2.5 years with an 80-hour work schedule. Do you understand what I mean? So, in my how do I say this? Don't do what I did. Seriously. You know, these principles work. They're based on truth. They're based on principle. And if you apply them, you're going to become successful. So, you know, so in some ways, I'm kind of waiting for my kids to grow up a little bit. We could replace ourselves and hire people to take care of them, but we don't want to. So that's what we've chosen. And, you know, that's how it is. Anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. And I know you did. And I'll see you in the next one.